And good evening, everybody. The Biden regime and the Marxist Dems are steadily being revealed for the subversives they are. Joe Biden revealing his motivation for inviting into the United States millions of Hispanic illegal aliens. Alert, it has something to do with November 5th, or as the day could be called, Novembre de Cinco. Also revealed, Juan Merchant, the politically corrupt judge, who is the ringmaster for that Stalinist circus that is the Trump business records trial in New York. He's working closely with Marxist Mayor Eric Adams to prepare the Rikers Island jail for none other than President Trump, should the reckless and Marxist judge decide to imprison the president. Someone should incarcerate, in my judgment, Judge Merchant if he further abuses any of his powers. We're also learning the depth of the campus mob's viciousness and hatred of America. Pro-Hamas protesters and rioters aren't merely misguided young college students. They're also professional agitators, Marxist zealots, and not merely pro-Hamas. Many are also connected to the terrorist groups, and now they're threatening beheadings of college administrators and trustees. Early this morning, police cleared a pro-Hamas encampment at George Washington University. Disruptive student protesters had occupied that site on campus for almost 2 weeks before they decided to clear the grounds. Here they are. And just as the police were involved, these campus radicals had called for beheading school administrators. They sound like they have a direct connection to those terrorist groups, doesn't it? Well, listen as the protesters sentenced Christopher Allen Bracey, George Washington University's African-American provost, to the guillotine.
The people find you
Guilty!
guilty, 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 Bracey, Bracey, we see you.
Gracie, Gracie, we see you.
You assault students too.
You assault students.
And so far, police have made 33 arrests at George Washington University. Similar scenes of chaos and anarchy erupting at a student encampment at the University of Washington. And joining us this evening is Turning Point USA reporter Jonathan Cho. He was viciously attacked by the masked thugs there. Watch this.
Wow, look at how many Antifa.
Okay, now we got a real fight on our hands.
You ready?
Hey, get that on film, Johnny.
Come on. Come on, fat boy. The moment administration knows this is happening, this gets broken.
Administration?
You know, to see that happen on a college campus without either the intervention of security, universities across this country, colleges have got to start putting into their budget security, because entirely too much violence is now being showered on students who otherwise would be leading a scholar's life, if you will, or at least a better life on that campus without all of this anarchy, the venality, the viciousness of the cretins who call themselves activists. Every single one of them should be arrested. And reporter Jonathan Cho is our guest this evening. He's coming up here in just moments. Meanwhile, at Harvard University, a patriotic young American decided to disrupt the disruptors, and good for him. In the middle of the night, he started blasting out the Star-Spangled Banner so loudly, the pro-Hamas protesters trying to sleep in their encampment Well, they got a little exercised. Here we are.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose watchtops and bright stars through the perilous fight.
Well, I hope they kept playing that all night long. God bless that patriot, and God bless all patriots. And speaking of them, see how Florida Republican Brian Mast handled Hamas sympathizers who ambushed him in the corridors of the Capitol. Mast did not pull any punches.
Now that Hamas has agreed to a ceasefire, do you think Israel should agree?
I think Israel should go in there and kick the shit out of them. Just absolutely destroy them, their infrastructure, level anything that they touch. Clear enough?
Congressman, the world is calling for a ceasefire. You used to say Hamas won't agree to a ceasefire. Hamas had just agreed. It was a proposal put forward by Egypt, Qatar. You know, CIA Director William Burns has been there negotiating.
You know what? If there's an American held or somebody else being held, there should be every expectation that Americans come and kill them as well. If there's an American being held, we should go kill the people that are holding them.
Why are you so hateful?
It's not hateful.
It is, because my people are Palestinian. You're killing my people with our tax dollars. And you saying that
Those
everything
people
should...
shouldn't associate themselves with terrorists. They shouldn't vote terrorists into office like Hamas.
To you,
They
the
should-
Israel is the terrorist.
Palestinian Islamic
Israel is the
Al-Aqsa
terrorist.
Martyrs Brigade, Lions Den, Fatah, all those terrorist
we
organizations.
say to you
that are
every
part of the
single
Palestinian
time,
people.
majority of people are children. They're the ones that are bearing the brunt.
Just
of
because you
this.
say it doesn't make it true, though,
You
which
don't
is what you
believe that
constantly.
it's children?
Let me say this very clearly. I literally don't believe a word that you say.
Well, I think that you are a heartless, soulless, cruel man. And today is Holocaust
From you,
Remembrance Day
I'll
for
take
my
that as a
people,
compliment.
my people, Jewish people. And I am saying, as a Jew, we said never again, and it's happening
Okay.
now. We say
You are
never
so
again.
hateful and disgusting. It's a shame. You are a crime against humanity.
And that was the perfect response, wasn't it? And you know, it's just useless to even try to speak reason to these ignoramuses. In the background of these pro-Hamas protests is our open border. America is under siege from within and without. The two issues seem unrelated until you find out who's crossing that border that is now controlled by the Mexican drug cartels. What ties them together is that they're both signs of our decline as a nation. Our leaders, these Marxist Dems and the Biden regime and the deep state, they are trying to destroy our civilization, our heritage, and this nation. They actively work every day in that effort. And joining us now to take all of that up is Texas Congressman Keith Self. He sits on the Foreign Affairs and Veterans Affairs Committee. And Congressman, as always, great to have you with us. Thanks for joining us.
You bet, Lou. Great to be here.
Well, let's turn first to what is happening in the Congress itself. It seems to be more urgent than anything else surrounding the Capitol Hill. Give it your sense of what is in store here. The Republican conference is in obvious revolt and division here, and seriously so. Where are we headed?
Well, I think we have forestalled the move to vacate. I don't think that's going to happen. So we really are done with most of the must-pass bills for the year. We've got the FAA bill left to pass this year. So what we're going to be working on is how do we get this conference back together? And frankly, I think our focus ought to be not doing anything that is going to endanger the November election, because we really need to elect Donald Trump as president. We need to take back a Republican majority in the Senate, And I would love to expand our majority in the House a little bit. So the way I look at it today is how are we going to hold together so that we can focus on our, which is the November election.
Right. Well, that sounds to me both wise and pragmatic. The idea, though, that this is you have a study group that has come out and said they want to raise the retirement age for Social Security and Medicare. Is there any way you can shut them up till perhaps 2025?
Well, I don't think that's going to gain any traction in an election year, Lou. Frankly, my constituents are focused on getting some reinforcements up here, getting fighters up here who will fight for Republican priorities. That's our focus right now, is supporting not only the incumbents who are real fighters, real conservatives, but getting reinforcements here so that we can move forward in the future. And I have to tell you, I think the establishment is realizing that what we have seen this year has changed the parameters in Congress, not greatly, but this is not going to stop. The conservatives are committed because of the existential threats that we're seeing to our republic, the border crisis and the debt. And those are the two that truly are existential threats to our republic, not our nation, our constitutional republic.
Didn't Speaker Johnson cut the debt as an issue right out from under the Republican conference? I mean, for crying out loud, he just closed his eyes and betrayed the conference as well as purported conservative principles, and put through a massive omnibus bill instead of going, as he had promised, and others before him, regular order and appropriating on the basis of single issues. We saw that just thrown in the wind.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, Lou, because we did have two minibuses, not one big omnibus. Some people consider that a win, at least progress. I don't, because we still have not passed 12 appropriations bills, but we also said that the border was going to be our hill to die on. And it obviously wasn't, because we brought the border bill up under suspension. And frankly, that gives people a cover vote. And the last thing I want is to give cover votes for the Democrats that we are trying to defeat. Do not give them an opportunity to to cast a vote that then gives them cover back in a district that we're trying to win. So there have been a small group of conservatives that continue the fight here, and we're going to keep it up. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Well, the fighting is good. Warriors are great, and you've got one by the name of Donald Trump, who's leading the party now. Are you going to see these conservatives hew to his principles, America first, make America great again agenda, a populist agenda?
Look, no doubt about it. Donald Trump is a fighter, and frankly, that's his cachet. That's why people are gathering around him. That's why they're flocking to him. They want to see someone that will fight for America, that doesn't roll off to the leftist, America is racist, America is weak. Joe Biden is so weak around the world. I was in a meeting today that they said the world sees weakness in America today at the top. That cannot be. We are the leader of the free world. We need to be strong. And I'm talking about economically, diplomatically, militarily. We need to be strong. People are hedging their bets with China today, Lou, because of our weakness. That's one of the immediate results of the weakness that we see in the presidency and the administration as a whole, because people are hedging their bets with China.
And at this point, that seems entirely reasonable. This, in fact, this regime, this Biden regime, this puppet president, this cognitively impaired and politically compromised president, who is just doing the beckoning of his masters, the Marxist Dems. I mean, in many ways, he is more anti-America than China has been, overtly at least, to this point. I mean, when we look at these policies under this administration, it's outrageous. Whether it's opening the border, turning it over to the Mexican drug cartels, permitting the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Americans just since he took office, to fentanyl, the sex trafficking that is rampant across that now Mexican drug cartel owned southern border, the 100-day $1 trillion that's added to the national debt throughout the year. I mean, this is an assault on America by the man who is in the Oval Office. It's that straightforward, isn't it?
Lou, absolutely. Let's just take a look let's compare Gaza. October the 7th, Israel basically ignored warnings by their people on the border that something big was happening. Take that analogy to America. We know that 25,000 plus Chinese military-aged males have come into the interior of the United States. Lou, you don't leave China without the government of China knowing that you have left. This is intentional, and I want to be very clear with this, Lou. We have set ourselves up for an October 7th in the interior of the United States. It doesn't even have to be our border. We have transported these people into the interior of the United States. We must be prepared. We need to be alert because something big is going to happen.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think you're exactly right. And I think that too few people understand that we have a number of fifth columns at work to subvert the United States, fifth columns within this country, whether they originate in Venezuela, whether they originate in Russia or China or various other regions, including, of course, the Middle East, where it is most urgent that people understand precisely what is going on with Iran and what is happening within our hemisphere. Both Iran and China are now active players in this hemisphere, which is, I'm sure all of our listeners and viewers remember, the Monroe Doctrine held that the United States would never tolerate any power meddling in this hemisphere. But of course, Barack Obama changed all of that, as he did so much. Congressman, you get the last word here on where we're headed in your judgment over the next 6 months.
I believe that this election will be a watershed moment in our republic, in our constitutional republic. We must turn back to the fact that America is a city, a shining city on a hill. We must return to that idea. We must return to our roots that are based on the Christian religion. Not everyone is a Christian in this nation, but our laws are based on biblical principles. We need to return to that idea. We have got to quash this idea that Islam and Sharia has any place under the U.S. Constitution. I believe that we see an awakening in America today, Lou. I believe that we're seeing it in the movement in the political realm. We need to see it in our military leaders. We need to see it in our political leaders. Yeah. I am deadly serious that these next 6 months are a watershed moment in the United States of America.
Well, again, I concur with you. And unfortunately, I also believe that the election of Donald Trump, while essential, is not sufficient. We're going to have to come together as a nation and rebuild this constitutional republic and make certain that we return to our heritage, including that of a Judeo-Christian nation. Congressman, thanks always for being with us. We always enjoy our conversations with you, with us.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it. Congressman Keith Self. Well, turning now to other impulses at work in our political body, 20 state attorneys general are now demanding that Congress stop funding the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian refugees. That agency has connections to Hamas. It promotes anti-Semitic education efforts and is well worth stopping in its tracks. Meanwhile, Joe Biden continues to undercut Israel. We've just learned that Biden withheld a shipment of 3,500 bombs to Israel. That, in his feeble effort to frustrate the counterterrorism operations underway in Rafah, in Gaza. And Joe Biden, of course, is world famous, notorious for his slip ups, his screw ups. And Joe Biden slipped up during an interview with a Spanish language radio station, and he accidentally, well, acknowledged the truth, admitting the real reason why he is bringing in millions of illegal aliens into this country. It's all about votes. Here he is.
Hispanic community is part of the future of America. 28 out of every 100 students in school speak Spanish. 28. The idea we're going to ignore that? That's our future.
Good Lord. The man thinks he's being profound. Do you hear him? This is the President of the United States. Only this corporate-owned national media could keep up the fiction that this man is actually running this country as President of the United States. It's disgusting what the national media has permitted. It's disgusting what Dr. Jill Biden and the Marxist Dems perpetrated on the American people when they permitted him to lead a ticket with Kamala Harris to be, to end up in office by whatever means. And there is more Biden mayhem across the country. It's constant, as journalists are being attacked by pro-Hamas radicals and Antifa fanatics on college campuses all around the country. At the University of Washington, a TPUSA Frontlines reporter named Jonathan Cho was attacked. A group of Antifa thugs wearing all black and holding umbrellas accosted Cho, who was at the university with TPUSA founder Charlie Kirk. And joining us now to talk about the assault, TPUSA reporter Jonathan Cho. And Jonathan, I've got to say, I admire your being on the scene, putting yourself on the line. And I know that everyone who follows your work and everyone, period, who respects great journalism admires what you're doing, because this is what journalism is about. So I want to just commend you to begin with. And then I want to turn to you and say, this video, these don't look like students to me, Jonathan. These look like agitators. They look like, well, frankly, it's Seattle, so it's got to be Antifa. Am I wrong?
No, you're spot on, Lou. Look, these are the far left activists who are professionals. They go into these volatile situations and they try to destabilize everything that's going on. And that's what they've essentially done here at the University of Washington. They've successfully infiltrated this encampment. It started off with maybe 6 or 7 tents a week and a half ago. Now it's ballooned to more than 150. And school administrators continue to fail to essentially sweep this camp. There are no cops in the area. Jewish students are not allowed to go into this encampment, and only certain media are now allowed to enter, and they have to register. I mean, this is a public space in the state of Washington, and now it's been taken over by Antifa thugs and goons. It's out of control, Lou.
It is out of control. And to your point, I love markets, and I love philosophy, and I love cause and effect in physics. And what I find interesting is there is no countervailing influence right now to the ignorance and the banality and the viciousness of these radical Islamist apologists and pro-Hamas demonstrators, or Antifa, BLM, all of the left-wing paid professional radicals who are now on campus. By the way, what you're describing is precisely what's happening across the country in campus after campus. This is about, as they said at the George Washington University, this is about bringing the guillotines to the college campuses, not just at GWU, but across the country. They mean business this time. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, look, like I said, of course, you're absolutely right. This started off as pro-Palestine protests. And next thing you know, you've got the extremists coming in, the religious zealots. But again, here in Seattle, the folks that I'm recognizing out on the streets, the people who came at me yesterday, they're not students. These are professionals. These are the same people that I saw 4 years ago during the height of the BLM riots in 2020. They're back. They want to destabilize America. They hate capitalism. They blame everything on white supremacy and capitalism, and they believe if they can, again, undercut what's happening here and show that America's current system is failing, they win. And that's exactly what they're trying to do on this campus.
And with that kind of nonsense and propaganda that they're pushing, the greater, if you will, the greater, to me, crime against the country and the American people is that their children have not been taught better. They haven't learned civics. They haven't learned our history. They don't understand the American heritage. They don't understand our values even. And of course, Antifa, the BLM, the Marxists they are, they're dividing the country with precisely that vulnerability. That is the ignorance that the public schools have brought to these young people. The universities have then leveraged even higher. I really have to say that right now, the University of Washington isn't alone in this. We see administrator after administrator, university president after university president without the guts to make a definitive statement about whether or not October 7th was genocide, whether or not it was a massacre, or they're rationalizing for Hamas terrorism while they're apologizing for radical Islamists across the entire Middle East. It's ignorance at a level we haven't quite seen before, Jonathan. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, and Lou, this anti-Semitism that we're now seeing on campus across America, in my lifetime as a journalist, people would say it behind the scenes quietly, but now it's out in the open. You have professors at the University of Washington who are now calling Hamas freedom fighters, not terrorists, but freedom fighters. And these young, impressionable students are hearing this narrative now. And you're absolutely right, Lou. The University of Washington and other elite universities now are focused more on trans ideology, DEI, the woke, and putting tampons in men's bathrooms than actually teaching, correct historical American history right now. Look, you have communist stickers and banners now, littered across the campus right now. You have communist organizers now bringing the flags with the sickle and hammer and waving it proudly next to the Palestinian flag. It makes absolutely no sense. This is no longer about the innocent civilians in Gaza. This is about, again, professional agitators, the far left, Antifa, trying to take advantage of this volatile situation.
And as I said at the outset of our discussion here, Jonathan, it's about countervailing influences until there are students on that campus who understand what is at risk in these conflicts and in these confrontations with professional Marxist agitators trying to subvert first the university, then the country. It's going to be a very difficult fight indeed, because too many of these 18, 19-year-olds, frankly, have neither the physical strength or ability to stand up to these thugs, and the cops aren't on the scene. The university administrators, by the way, most of them are just as culturally Marxist as anyone else on the campus. The faculties are not all, but almost all Marxists, and they've been indoctrinating these students who are sitting there with their jaws agape, watching the very bad people, these Antifa BLM folks who think they're some kind of tough guy, when they should be getting their chops handed to them, either by the police or by a countervailing influence. Jonathan, give you the last word here.
Look, I get it. These are young men and women on these college campuses, students. They have every right to be scared. But at the same time, I want to leave things on a hopeful and encouraging note. At the TPUSA event with Charlie Kirk yesterday, I saw hundreds of students mobilizing. And I saw the frat boys coming out. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but the frat boys may save America. They were yelling at Antifa. They were challenging the Antifa goons to push-up contests. And that's a type of, pushback that we need to start seeing more on college campuses to take back America.
Well, Front Boys and Turning Point USA, I think that's a. I think that would. I think it would definitely qualify as two forms of countervailing influence. And Jonathan, you certainly fit that bill too, and we thank you for setting a standard. And by the way, following the best dictates of great journalism. Thanks for being with us, Jonathan.
Thanks again, Lou. We're staying on the story. Take care.
Bless you. Well, in an unusual turn of events in a key Virginia race, the Republican candidate is trying to oust Freedom Caucus Chairman Bob Good. And Good apparently now, because of the money behind his challenger, we'll call it that, put there by apparently Kevin McCarthy money. You remember him, the former Speaker of the House. He could face an investigation over allegations he listed a dead person as his campaign treasurer to approve finance reports. That, according to the reporting of the Washington Examiner, McGuire is accused of having serious financial discrepancies in previous campaigns for the state legislature as well as for Congress. A spokesperson for Good's campaign said, "I'm sure it will be fairly easy to determine if the treasurer who signed his reports was alive or not at the time of signing." There is no depth to which these ignoramuses, the Rhino Republicans and the Marxist Democrats, will sink. The Biden administration is under fire, by the way, for misusing a federal agency to manufacture votes for its failing bid to be reelected. Biden's Small Business Administration, the corrupt Small Business Administration, they're a big, powerful organization. They've been caught colluding with the Michigan Department of State to, quote, promote civic engagement and voter registration, end quote. The election coordination between the SBA and Michigan, driven by a 2021 executive order by Biden directing federal agencies to promote so-called access to voting. Let's be very clear. There is no room for the federal government in electioneering, period. The House has subpoenaed the Small Business Administration to explain what the heck they think they're doing. Well, they know what they're doing. They're trying to get out the Democrat vote, and they're going to do it any way they can, just like they have for 3, 4 cycles, maybe 5. In Georgia, the Fulton County Elections Board found at least 140 counts of illegal voting practices in 2020. In that election, investigator Joseph Rossi, who helped bring this case forward, unleashed his view of the report that vindicated him and others who questioned the 2020 election results. Here he is.
Now I'd like to speak directly to those who have fought factually, respectfully, and relentlessly for the truth over the last 3 years. As of 4/10/24, I got another one of these certified letters from the state election board. Every time I get one of those letters, my wife sets it on my desk and she says, "You got another one of those certified letters. I hope you're not being indicted this time." But anyways, as of that letter, it has now been factually proven that both the hand audit, this is really, really important, and the certified machine count, yes, the certified count, have both been found to be in violation of Georgia election law. Based on these findings, to those that have fought factually, respectfully, and relentlessly, I'll close with one word: vindicated.
And I'll tell you, there's going to be a lot more vindication in the state of Georgia. The state of Georgia, their lieutenant governor recently talked about he's going to vote for Joe Biden rather than Donald Trump. His name, I think his name is Duncan or something. He's a pretty boy wannabe politician. He's got the depth of a spoon, I'll tell you that. He made that statement not even thinking about a border that's wide open, sex trafficking that's been created by this president and his regime. He's going to vote for that. He's going to vote for 100,000 deaths due to fentanyl being brought across that border. He's going to endorse an estimated 14 million illegal aliens brought into this country. This is the kind of ignorance you don't, Georgia, need in your your body politic or your government. I mean, what a disgusting, ridiculous, and stupid statement he made. As you know, Mike Lindell is passionate about proving the rigged election of 2020. He is passionate about election integrity as well, and he is doing everything he can to make certain that 2024 is not a rigged election. So with that said, he also has another passion, and that, of course, is to help you get the best sleep of your life. Sometimes those things go together. But in this instance, he invented the world's best pillow, My Pillow. He created the famous Giza Dream Sheets as well. They're the best sheets, I'm telling you, you will ever sleep on. The best night's sleep has, in fact, gotten even better. For a limited time, you can get a queen size set for $59.98. Only $59.98. The king size, just $10 more. The lowest prices in MyPillow history. Mike and MyPillow employees continue to be canceled by those big box stores, and they're attacked relentlessly by the national corporate-owned media. They appreciate all of your great support during these times, and they want to say thank you by giving you free shipping on your entire order today. To get the best specials ever, go to mypillow.com, call 800-977-9152, and use promo code Dobbs. That's promo code Dobbs, and you get the famous Giza Dream Sheets, queen size, for only $59.98, king size, just $10 more. So call 800-977-9152 or go to mypillow.com, promo code Dobbs, to get free shipping on your entire order today. And please join us for my podcast each day, The Great America Show. And turning now to Marxist Dems gearing up to throw President Trump in jail. At a City Hall press conference, New York City Mayor Eric Adams acknowledged that the Marxist Dems and he are preparing to send former President Donald Trump to Rikers Island.
So at President Trump's trial, they were talking about how he might end up in jail if he continues to violate these court orders. Is Rikers prepared for that? Do you guys have those discussions yet? And if so, what would that even look like?
Our amazing commissioner, she is prepared for whatever comes on Rikers Island, and I'm pretty sure she would be prepared to manage and deal with the situation. As you see what's happening with Harvey Weinstein. We have to adjust, in this business, particularly around law enforcement, we have to adjust whatever comes our way, but, we don't want to deal with a hypothetical, but they're professionals. They'll be ready.
We're pretty sure they're professionals, and pretty sure that it was just an accident that he threw in a name or two that he wanted to associate with the President of the United States. I also think he's pretty ignorant. And if Judge Merchant has the temerity to just abuse one more margin of his power, his lawful power, I think the man should head straight to Rikers Island, and I hope that's in his destiny for even threatening President Trump with such. Well, there we are. Take a look at these radical thugs laughing and smiling as they talk about throwing a former president in jail over bookkeeping matters and non-crimes like paying hush money. Not that they could even prove that Donald Trump did it, whatever it is, but former President Trump was defiant in his statement to the media, saying that going to jail is a sacrifice that he'd gladly make to restore America to a constitutional republic. Here he is.
Because this judge has given me a gag order and said you'll go to jail if you violate it. And frankly, you know what? Our Constitution is much more important than jail. It's not even close. I'll do that sacrifice any day. But what's happening here is a disgrace, and the appellate courts ought to get involved.
It is a disgrace by the appellate courts as well as the idiot Juan Merchant, the judge in the case. I mean, the ignorance for them not to intervene and stop this Stalinist pig show is ridiculous. The pig being Juan Merchant. I mean, he is an outrageous, contemptuous contemptible excuse for a judge. Joining us now to talk about all this is someone that I admire greatly, who knows the political system very well, and he knows about political persecution, and he knows it firsthand. A former Trump advisor, Roger Stone. And Roger, great to have you with us. And I should point out, best-selling author, great patriot, great American. Good to have you with us.
Lou, it's great to be here. As one who was unconstitutionally gagged by a federal judge, and therefore not allowed to defend myself, while the Washington Post and CNN and MSNBC rained down invective and lies about me being a Russian asset or being a link with WikiLeaks, none of which the government even attempted to prove at trial. I know how Trump feels between that and leaks from the prosecution, and the fact that the witnesses against him, Stormy Daniels, Michael Cohen, they're allowed to go on social media, they're allowed to go in any interview and attack him and trash him. The fact that he cannot respond is un-American. And you can see, just watching him, he's fed up with it. The judge, I think, has now warned him twice that he will incarcerate him. Now, Eric Adams probably enjoyed that question because it was a welcome diversion into the various investigations of corruption in his administration, as well as his campaign financing. So anytime the media has a question and it isn't about rising crime rates or the disaster of the way his administration is handling the overflow of illegals into New York City, costing taxpayers millions, and threatening, as he put it, to destroy the city, that's probably a good day for Eric Adams.
Yeah, it's what passes for one, isn't it? I mean, the man is he's sitting there so smug, as if he were just doing the world's greatest bang-up job as mayor of a major city, when he is a laughing stock. And make no mistake about it, folks, the man is a joke. He has no idea in the world how that city is working. He has no idea in the world what he's talking about when it comes to budgets, nor, frankly, any of the issues that you and I would expect any mayor in any city in the country, well, except for the Marxist Dem-led cities, to understand. Roger, going to the president, to see him day in and day out, have to put up with the likes of Stormy Daniels, Michael Cohen. These are the big heavy hitters that the prosecution, Alvin Bragg, the George Soros favorite, is bringing to the stand. They have nothing to do with the case. One a convicted liar and the other a performer. I'll put it that way. This is just ignorance. You wouldn't want Daniels or Cohen to live in your neighborhood, in your community, let alone be in the same room with them.
Look, there are several problems here. First, even if Donald Trump actually did that which he's accused of doing or directed someone to do so, this would be, at worst, a civil business records case that would be settled with a fine. The president, I must mention, vehemently denies doing any of that. To bump this up to a felony would require that financial transaction was falsified to hide some other illegal crime. But no such crime has been identified by Mr. Bragg or his associates. Federal prosecutors examine these transactions in the Southern District of New York, could find no crime. The Federal Election Commission could investigated this, found no crime. Judge Juan Merchan has actually ruled in pretrial rulings that Trump's lawyers cannot tell this jury that this alleged crime was investigated twice before and no underlying crime that would have to be associated with it, with the transaction, could be found. So the judge is trying to hamstring his defense while he gags him. It is really quite outrageous.
Yeah, it is just sickening to watch this this judge who seems to think he's right, a very clever judge. He has just torn up the procedure book. He's violating basically every right that the president has: freedom of speech, freedom of due process. I mean, you go through the list. It looks like a run at the Bill of Rights, certainly Trump's Bill of Rights. And we look at what's happening now. The judge in Florida, Eileen Cannon, suspending the trial because basically Jack Smith, the special counsel, is a liar. He tampers with evidence. He's been caught again. It is just, again, pure ignorance for the Marxist Dems to keep throwing these just thugs, legal thugs, at this president. And by the way, the American people are starting to catch on.
Well, in fact, people should be wide awake for the left attack now on Eileen Cannon for essentially being an honest judge. They're going to tell you she's not qualified. They're going to tell you she's broke the rules. They're going to tell you she's a Trump appointee and a political hack. She was a respected prosecutor. Her family are immigrants from Cuba. She's entirely self-made, and she has an excellent reputation, and she's an excellent lawyer and an honest judge. The first time they get a non-left-wing judge they can't control, they go out of their minds.
Yeah.
Judge Cannon almost systematically unredacted their enormous indictment because they want to convict Trump in secret. They don't want the American people to know what this case is really about. What documents? What do the documents say that Trump is accused of holding? Trump argues that all of his holdings of documents were legal under the Presidential Documents Act. Judge Cannon has not ruled on that. Jack Smith is bringing this as an espionage case. Why? There's no evidence of Trump giving national secrets to some foreign power. That's a myth of the fake news media. So now more and more, as the judge redacts more and more, we learn that this begins to smell like a setup, like the National Archives working with the Biden General Counsel and the FBI and Justice Department set Donald Trump up in this case, using props to make a crime where none really exists. In any event, the judge points out that it will take years to unravel all of the motions and counter motions now, and she's postponed this trial indefinitely. That's the whole reason why the Jack Smith operation had to come up with the January 6th Washington-related charges. They telegraphed it because they didn't expect to get an honest judge in this case. Remember, they indicted Trump by getting witnesses in front of a D.C. grand jury. Then they played a recording of the D.C. grand jury in front of a Florida grand jury, a live grand jury, unable to ask questions to get their indictment. Highly questionable.
Jack Smith, the special counsels in all of these related cases have been really, they're appalling lawyers. Their ethics are ultimately not limited, they're absent altogether. And the president, again, just as he has throughout what is now 9 years of political persecution. You want to go back to Crossfire Hurricane? You want to take a look at the Michael Flynn case? You go through all of it. In every instance, the prosecutors and the judges have run afoul of the legal system, and they are the ones who ended up being proved guilty. Not once, no finding whatsoever of wrongdoing on the part of the president. Roger, I appreciate you being with us. Give us quickly your thoughts about how it goes. We got about a minute at most. Could you give us your thoughts about how the election goes from here over the next few months?
Well, of course, everything is exceedingly volatile. Trump continues to benefit from the lawfare against him as the American people see through how thin these cases and how specious the timing of them, how tawdry the testimony against him, which is designed in Stormy Daniels' place to inflame. People see through it. I think the president continues to get stronger, but I also have to recognize the stress level. He goes from Formula One, where he is met like a conquering hero, pandemonium in Miami Sunday, and then instead of having to go back to Mar-a-Lago, he has to take a flight to New York, where he lands after 1 a.m. in a cold rain to face trial the next day. Think of the emotional highs and lows of that journey. He's an amazing, amazing guy with amazing stamina.
Incredible. He is the Churchill of our time. This is 1939 for all of us, and we have to have the right leader in place for what is to follow. What is obviously the corruption, the political corruption of the Marxist Dems and this regime is. It will be historic, I assure you, notorious through history. Roger Stone, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Lou, always great to be with you. God bless you.
Thanks for being with us. And turning now to accusations of sexual abuse and financial problems that have plagued the Boy Scouts of America for now decades. What is the organization doing about it? Well, it's doing the right thing, the ethical thing, the responsible thing. Well, they're rebranding the organization naturally. The Boy Scouts of America will now be going by the more gender neutral name, more inclusive name, Scouting America. It sounds like a verb, though, doesn't it? Scouting America, not Scouting America. Well, that solves everything, doesn't it? Rebranding. It's just amazing how that works. Meanwhile, Boeing could do a little rebranding at the rate they're going. Boeing is another organization trying to be woke to distract from its institutional rot, but it can't hide from bad headlines about planes falling apart. The most recent incident being a FedEx Boeing 767 that smashed into the runway as it made an emergency landing in Turkey. Here it is.
Ana tekeri yok lan. Aa tekeri yok. Anam yere vurdu. Geçmiş olsun arkadaşlar. Ama helal olsun. Bize geldi kesin karşısında. Bence güzel indirdi Dayko. Oğlum şaka. Ya oradan buraya nasıl çektiler?
You know, it's really sad to think what's happened to Boeing. They have just gone through a miserable period where they're not meeting their own standards, let alone those of the industry. It's sad to watch. It is particularly sad when you think that Boeing is one of those it's a company that you always thought of as being just part of what America truly is, and maybe that's part of the problem. We can think about that. But right now, I want to turn to something happier. I want to talk to you about something exciting. And as you know, Mike Lindell has a passion to help you get the best sleep of your life. After he invented the world's best pillow, he created the famous Giza Dream Sheets. They're the best sheets you will ever sleep on. My wife and I attest to that. The best night's sleep just got even better. For a limited time, you can buy a queen size set for $59.98. King size, just $10 more. Those are the lowest prices in history. And Mike and MyPillow employees are still canceled by big box stores, and they're attacked relentlessly by the national left-wing media. They appreciate all of your great support during these times, and they want to thank you by giving you free shipping on your entire order today. To get the best specials ever, go to mypillow.com, call 800-977-9152, and use promo code Dobbs, DOBBS. You get the famous Giza Dream Sheets, queen size, for only $59.98, and king size, just $10 more. So call 800-977-9152 or go to mypillow.com, promo code Dobbs, to get free shipping on your entire order today. You'll be glad you did. And join us, please, on my podcast every day, The Great America Show, available at loudobbs.com, wherever you get your podcast. And thank you for being with us. Join us here tomorrow, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 Central. Executive Director of the Foundation for Freedom Online, Mike Benz, joins us. You don't want to miss that. No one knows more about the deep state and what they're doing to this country than Mike Benz. And don't change the channel, because the Lindell Report is coming up next, and Mike has a great show for you just waiting. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night, and God bless you, and God bless America.
Wow, it's so soft and smooth.
It's cool to the touch. How did you do that?
Well, we took MyPillow's patented fill and combined it with this new technology that we didn't have back then when I invented MyPillow to bring you the best pillow in history, MyPillow 2.0. My employees and I want to thank you for MyPillow 2.0's huge success. And now we're manufacturing our multi-use MyPillows with the same temperature regulating technology. Made with my patented adjustable fill and new cooling fabric, they're truly the next generation of MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save over 60% on our MyPillow 2.0 4-pack special. You'll get 2 MyPillows and 2 multi-use MyPillows, regularly $199.92, now only $69.98. King size $10 more, so please order now. Mike Lindell here, and like you, I see our country being destroyed daily. We face massive economic issues, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, there are people in power who threaten the values that have made our country great. Well, I've been a believer in gold and silver for a long time, and I've searched for years for a partner that shares my values. Well, Genesis Gold Group showed me how easy it is to protect your IRA, 401k, or your retirement with gold and silver. Their faith-driven approach to service and stewardship is one that stands out from the rest. So call Genesis Gold Group now at 1-800-200-GOLD. That's 1-800-200-4653, or go to LindellGoldRush.com now. Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm excited to announce my new product, My Coffee. I get products all the time from entrepreneurs for my new platform, mystore.com. And when I tried My Coffee for the first time, I was blown away. It is the best coffee I've ever had in my life.